All right. Working with the unit called using variables. A couple things we're going to do within this unit. We're going to look at tables and figure out how to write equations from tables, especially linear. Okay, and then we're also going to look at how to write something out using words. So first of all, linear equations. If it is linear, that means it goes up by the same amount. Okay, so to get from one thing to the next, it is going to go up by the same amount. Also, you've seen this before, y equals mx plus b. This is our slope. That's the amount it goes up by, okay? Amount of increase or decrease. And then b is your y-intercept. Right, those are the two things that we have to find every single time we do a linear equation. We have to figure out how much it's going up by, and then we have to figure out what the y-intercept is going to be. So let's look at this first one. What we're going to do is we're going to look and make sure and see what's happening here. From here to here, it's going up by 3. From here to here, it goes up by 6. From here to here, it goes up by 3. So I need to see that each time that you do one of these problems. Here to here, it goes up by 1. Goes up by 2, goes up by 1. Now, you notice that there's an increase right there. All of a sudden, it's 3, 3, and then there's a 6. But look what happens on the other side. Where there's a 6, there's also a 2. So what you're going to do is you're going to choose these, and you're going to come off to the side. So 3 divided by 1, which tells me 3. But if I do the 6 divided by 2 also, 6 divided by 2, 3. Hey, they're the same thing. That's the piece that you need to understand. So this is our slope. This is how much things are increasing by. So we know that our equation starts off with y equals 3x. Okay? So if it's a multiple choice type deal, go through. If it doesn't say y equals 3x, it's not a possibility. Now, let's go to the next piece. We have to find the y-intercept. So to find the y-intercept, we got to work backwards a little bit. Okay? If I add 3 to go this way, well, going this way, I'm going to have to subtract 3. So here's what I want you to think about. Our table right here, we've got to go backwards. We've got to get to 0. So I need to get to 0. That's only one thing down. Okay? So I need to go this way. So instead of adding 3, I'm going to subtract 3. 4 minus 3, 1. So going backwards, once I get 0, this is going to tell me this is my y-intercept. That's what I'm looking for. I need a 0 for the x. It tells me it's my y-intercept. My y-intercept is 1, so this is plus 1. That is my equation, y equals 3x plus 1. So whatever it's increasing by, that's your slope. When x is 0, whatever y is, that is your y-intercept. So 3x plus 1. Let's look at a problem like this. Again, go through, figure out how much it's going up or down by on each side. Down by 3, down by 9, down by 3. Notice I'm putting a negative out there because it's going down. 2 to 3, that's up by 1. 3 to 6, that is up by 3. 6 to 7, that's up by 1. Divide them. Take negative 3 divided by 1. That gives you negative 3. Just to test one more point, take the negative 9 and the positive 3. Negative 9, positive 3. I'm using these two because they're straight across from each other. So if I was going to use the negative 3, I would have to use the 1. So negative 9 divided by 3 is negative 3. So this is showing me it's the same thing. It's a rate of change of 3. So that is my slope. So my slope's negative 3. Y equals negative 3x. Again, multiple choice. Go back, figure out what's going to give you, or what doesn't have a negative 3 for a slope. Now, we've got to work backwards. So working backwards here, we've got to go to 1, and then we've got to go to 0. Okay, so we've got to go backwards 2 times this time. So backwards 1 time, backwards again. So I'm adding 3 going in this direction. So if I go in the other direction, or I'm subtracting 3 going in this direction. So if I go in the other direction, I have to do the opposite of that. I have to add 3. 12 plus 3, 15. Do it one more time. Plus 3, 18. I'm at 0. That's my y-intercept. I put plus 18. So That's the basics on how to do that. Find your slope. So step 1, find slope. And remember, that's change in y, however much the y is changing by, divided by the change in x. Second thing, y-intercept. In our x-y column, we want x to be 0, and then whatever y is going to be my y-intercept. Okay, so we just have to work backwards. Now, that's dealing with looking at an equation, how to figure things out. Let's look at what words are. So if we're writing something out, like 3, or the product of 3 and a number. This is what I'm talking about. You've got to figure out what these words mean. Product. Product means to multiply. 3 is obviously a 3. A number. We can give this anything we want to, but for right now, let's just give it an x. We're not sure what it is. So this means the product of 3 and x. It means multiply 3 and x. So the solution would be 3x. So the important thing here is figuring out what these words mean. So a couple of words. If you see quotient, that means divide. If you see sum, that means add. If you see difference, that means subtract. And obviously product means to multiply. So those are pretty straightforward. The only one I want to warn you against, if you see something that says 6 times the sum of x and y. You have to be very careful with this. 6 times the sum of x and y. We're taking 6 and we're multiplying it by the sum, that means add, of these two. But we have to add those two together first. So we're going to do x plus y. Once I do x plus y, I multiply that result by 6. So that means I have to put parentheses around it and put a 6 out in front. Okay, so I add these together, and then whatever I get, I multiply it by 6. Be careful with those type of problems. Make sure that you put parentheses up if they are needed. All right?